106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
How do you like them apples?
I drink your milkshake.
English, motherfucker! Do you speak it?
Say hello to my little friend. The power of Christ compels you.
Here's Johnny. The war must sing for it. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
What the fuck is up? It's been a minute.
Welcome to the Half Focused podcast.
We're a little scarred more than we were before. We're a little dirtier. We're a little older. And we're a little wiser than we were before.
Oh, are we now?
Oh, yes, we are. And want to know why we're wiser, Noah? Because we watched the motherfucking trial of the Chicago 7. And this is the Half Focused podcast. My name is Blake Haynes.
I'm Noah Cross.
And see, that's what I'm saying. I've grown. I'm wiser. I always forget that shit. Guess what? Not this time. This is a real intro, bitches.
I really thought you were going to forget it again.
No. I'm on tonight. And Noah, I want you to tell us, because it's been a fucking week and I'm kind of stupid since I've seen this movie. Just give us, to your best fucking knowledge, like, not scene by scene, but like kind of go in your 3-act synopsis of what happens in this movie.
Well,
and then kind of give us the climax.
I won't give it to you in the order that it's shown, because it's shown with flashbacks throughout.
Are you gonna do it in real chronological historical
I'm just gonna give it a little chronological order. Give you the background. Perfect. Sorry, this takes place after the 1968 Democratic Convention in Chicago. The Vietnam War is going on. Hubert Humphrey is about to become the Democratic nominee. He's not against the Vietnam War. A bunch of these young radical leftists come out and protest it. And the leaders of these groups, so we got the Yippies, the SDS, we got Dave Dellinger leading a little bit of an older group, and then we got two guys that I'm not going to lie don't matter, and then we have Bobby Seale, leader of the Black Panther Party, who just came in to give a speech. A riot breaks out in Chicago. These men are arrested as the leaders, and pretty much the entire movie is about their trial, because this trial was one of the biggest political farces of our time. And while Sorkin takes his liberties with the trial, it's mostly accurate, I would say. And it goes through the entire courtroom, all the just complete bias from the judge, the complete racism, the complete playing to the government's ideals. And the climax of this movie comes in when they are convicted of their crimes, because they're being convicted of conspiracy to incite a riot, which holds a maximum of up to, I believe, 10 years in prison.
Okay. That was a lot. I'm going to be honest.
It was a lot.
I had to hop on my phone for a second because I wanted to not sound like an idiot. And guess what? I found out I was an idiot because I tried to research shit and I didn't find anything. But I'm just going to go off the dome tonight. We're going off that Mr. Stevens 7th grade history. But I also, this is like the one movie, we're both history nerds. We love history. And this is like the movie that we can actually like talk about it because that's the movie. Like, kind of history is the narrative. You know what I mean? It's a real story.
I may or may not have spent about 4 hours researching the legitimate court trial today.
Okay, so before I really want, I think I want to give this intro, what I'm going to say, and then I want you to talk about that immediately after, because I think that'll go right together. I think it's so important, and not even, I don't even know if it's important, just interesting. 1968. This is a year, like, there was the reason I know about it, when I was 13, there was a traveling museum around the nation, in the name of it, the exhibit, 1968, nothing else, just the year. I went to it, that changed my life. Like, seeing how different the world was back then, and also how important of a year that was. I don't know when Robert Kennedy was killed. Was that before this?
Because that was in 1968, right before the convention.
Because, 1968, MLK is killed, Robert Kennedy is killed, the Beatles are fucking killing it, and they are taking over the fucking nation. the fucking tensions of the Vietnam War. Because we go in it for a good amount, a little bit longer, but it's kind of like almost the peak of the tensions. You have I never even knew about this trial, but I knew about the Democratic Convention, and they clubbed the fuck out of everybody. I'm probably even missing some shit, but pretty much 1968 is a crucial and insane year for America. And it's like, it's so crazy, because if this story had happened any other year, you would have known about it. Because it happened in 1968, it almost got rolled over in history. We never learned about this in history class, but this is the kind of trial that actually causes the change that you hear in history class. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to hear. What's the real story of this trial?
Okay, well, we're going to go a little bit to early 1968, late 1967. So it's the Democratic primary. LBJ is the sitting president. He's gotten us into the Vietnam War.
Was he JFK's vice president?
Yes. He has not been elected to office before. He served about 5 years, with 1 year after JFK was assassinated, 4 years when he was reelected. He's about to run again. In the primary, he ends up getting heavily challenged by Bobby Kennedy and Eugene McCarthy from the left.
Isn't that the guy
That's Joseph McCarthy. Different McCarthy. Want to make that very clear. Eugene McCarthy is a pretty radical leftist. So he ends up dropping out of the primary. His vice president, Hubert Humphrey, comes in and runs as the, I would say, mainstream Democratic nominee. And because of the way the Democratic Party was set up at this time, the primaries don't matter. It's all who has the state governors, the state legislature, and city mayor's support, who has the party support.
How does that compare to now? You said then.
So after this primary, the Democratic Party changed their rules. So now primary results...
in 1968.
Yeah, after the riots and everything. Primary results actually matter. So before then, say you're running in the primary in Pennsylvania. You win that primary 60% to 40%. Doesn't matter. The governor basically tells the delegates who to vote for. It doesn't matter. They use the primaries to test a little bit of public support. Hubert Humphrey did okay. It's fine. He ends up being the nominee. But he's not really against the Vietnam War. He won't end it. And that's when these...
Because he's probably got some other interests.
Yeah, he's a moderate. He's focused on his own things. And that's when these political activists take a real role and protest it.
I'm sorry to cut you off, and I kind of want to get to other... I don't want to talk about this stuff too long. I kind of do want to talk about the movie.
I want to try and get into it.
But this is my last kind of question about it. Bernie Sanders. We know there has been Democratic election rigging against him. I know there's tons of people that don't like him and everything. In my opinion, he's the goddamn Democratic superhero. He should be the fucking candidate right now. And it's kind of a crime that he's not almost. And especially last election, it's a humongous crime that he wasn't. Because it's literally a crime that he wasn't. And it's just, okay, I'm just saying, it's interesting because it's like we these days have, like, it's like we're so used to people fighting on other sides, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This is fighting in the same side almost, you know. I mean, it's like they are different ideologies, but it's still like how do you think, just like do you think we could almost get to a point in the, because I truly feel, and I'm not, like, I'm a Democrat, but the Democratic Party is in shambles. It's a piece of shit right now. It's getting better, but especially a little bit ago, it was awful. And it's hopefully once we win this election, it'll get better. But I'm just saying, like, do you see the Democratic Party as getting to a point, or either party, that it's like we start having real clashes within ourselves to try to figure out who is our best person? And I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way.
I got a couple points on this. One, to start off with Bernie Sanders, I will say in 2016... the election was not stolen from him. It was a two-person race. He did not win the most delegates. That's what happened. It's stupid, and I hate it, but it's fine. It happened. This election cycle in the primaries for the Democrats, Bernie was robbed of the election. The Democratic establishment got every other like every other moderate candidate to drop out, including Elizabeth Warren, who wasn't even a moderate.
And Pete Buttigieg. I'm kidding.
Pete Buttigieg was the moderate. He got
it's a joke, but it's not.
Yeah, he got all of them to drop out. And that led to Bernie losing because most of those people, right before Super Tuesday, the people that were like considering other moderate candidates did go to Biden. Whatever. It's fine. It's non-competitive. I would say both the Republican and the Democratic Party right now are competing on their own things, like within the parties. So for the Democrats, it's...
Let's just talk about Democrats.
For Democrats, it's a mix between moderate liberalism and, globalism, neoliberalism, where they believe in a powerful military, using force, that kind of foreign policy, and they still believe capitalism and like pure capitalism as America has had it since any president besides FDR is the right way to go. And Bernie Sanders and the left, the actual left, want to change it to a more European style of democratic socialism.
Which I'm sort of here for. And I'm sorry, but time to sort of change things.
Yeah,
and here's the most important thing. This is the Half Focus podcast, motherfuckers. And we believe in our fucking roots here. Here's what I'm going to say right now. We've recorded the very first podcast that was posted, Jurassic Park. Next post on Tuesday, what you're hearing right now. I don't even know how this is going to go the rest of it. That's okay if it goes to dog shit. I'm going to just post it. I don't care because it's topical. Anyways, here's the most important part. We started our roots. We recorded that Jurassic Park in Noah's fucking basement closet. Guess where we're at now? In a closet. And it's even smaller, motherfuckers. We're dedicated to the craft. And want to know why I realized this? Because we're in here with a water heater and it was making noise. I thought it was about to explode. And I was getting scared. And I was like, this is called dedication. This is called love.
It's technically a laundry room. We have our washer and dryer in here. I moved into an apartment.
This is actually Noah's room. He moved his mat on the floor, his little cot. He moved it to the side.
But that's so sweet that you think they give me a cot.
Aw, do they give you tuna in a can?
I'm not that good. I get chicken in a can.
Sardine.
So let's talk about this fucking movie.
So the reason I wanted to bring it back to the roots. You asked the first question.
Oh, I asked the first question?
Well, but you've always... I know we just did all that, but that was the real politics background, COVID-19. Just kidding, we both have the antibodies. We already had it because we're irresponsible to a point. We're millennials, what can I say? I'm saying, we're in our roots, we're in a closet, you kick it off.
All right. I'll ask, which of the Chicago 7/8 did you sympathize with the most?
Okay. Do you want me to... That is a very good question, first of all. Second of all, thank you.
Mm-hmm. He's trying to remember character names right now.
And I closed it.
He closed my phone because...
I got it on my own. All right, so don't worry. Don't worry, I got it. I mean, so here's the thing. Blake Haynes has had 2 lives. We're not going to talk about the current life, but it's definitely a lot closer to Abby Hoffman and Jeremy Ruman. I don't want to be the tool that's like, I'm fucking Jim in The Office. I don't want to sound like a douche.
Like Hayden.
Yeah, but it's just like, exactly. So it's like the old Blake, definitely in the grade school, middle school Blake. Excuse me, even high school Blake to a point, Eagle Scout, motherfucker. I'm probably Tom Hayden or Richard Schultz, the lawyer, against them. And I'm just like going through my segue. Wait. But I'm just saying, because I like...
Pause for a second. He just said he's Richard Schultz. If you know Richard Schultz, just keep that in mind.
Okay, I don't know Richard Schultz at all. I'm saying the way he's portrayed in the movie, because it's called a Half Focus. I'm kidding. But yeah, so I'm just saying, like, the Eddie Redmayne, that's his actor. Tom Hayden, and Richard Schultz, I like the way they're portrayed in the movie. I love their dilemmas, but at the same time, I guess as a person, if you listen to this, I just talked about the water heater for 2 minutes, so I'm probably...
You're Hoffman.
I think I'm Ruben, because Hoffman's a little bit... Maybe I am Hoffman, because Ruben speaks only when it's the best time. Hoffman just kind of talks and gets himself into trouble at times.
Well,
I'm sorry. It was a little long.
That's completely fine. I would say, I come off as a Tom Hayden.
Yeah, yeah.
Ideologically,
dude, you
and
are
ideologically,
literally Tom Hayden. Can you wait, I know you already said this before, but can you just break down our four big parties right now in the 7?
So
we got Black Panthers.
I got this. Bobby Seals. He's the leader of the Black Panther Party. One of the founders of the Black Panther Party.
And he has Fred Hampton, who dies.
Yes.
We're deep. We're going deep, motherfuckers.
Was murdered by the U.S. government.
Is it bad to talk bad about... I'm not bad. Well, they're all pretty young. Like, old... I think old people in this movie we can shit on as much as possible. Because it's like, guess what, motherfuckers? They're not going to kill themselves. They would have been dead already. They already are dead. Like, Abraham Lincoln... It's like remember Pete Buttigieg or someone got emotional about Abraham... No, it was Marco Rubio. He got emotional about Abraham Lincoln's death. And it's like, dude... He's already died 3 times. Like, chill the fuck out.
We'll get around to talking about Judge Hoffman. Because that's who you're thinking about, and I know it.
Can you take the reins a little bit? Because I'm kind of all
Perfect.
over the place.
So, getting back to the actual parties, I've tried for years and have never succeeded.
Give me like a tap or something. Yeah.
So, then we have the Yippies.
I'm not even kidding.
So, the Yippies are led by Hoffman.
And Rubin.
Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin, I'm sorry. And then the third main party is the Students for Democratic Society. That is led by Tom Hayden and Renee Davis. And then we have Dave Dellinger. Okay. He's kind of an older guy. He's a pacifist. Fun fact, he protested World War II and was a conscientious objector to that, which I have my own opinions on.
So, what's the group of Tom Hayden?
The SDS, Students for a Democratic Society.
And that's the whole, I'm sorry I went on that, but I'm pretty much, the whole reason I'm asking and I wanted the parties is because Tom Hayden, SDS, how do you, like, break it down? No, you go to WashU, you were a lawyer, try to get, like, pretty much give us your resume, give us all the middle Venn diagrams to you and Tom Hayden.
To me and Tom Hayden. So, Tom Hayden...
Give us that pussy in the Venn diagram.
Perfect. I will say Tom
Hayden... No one said it looks like a pussy, but it has all the time. Why have we not talked about that?
Know. I actually had never thought about it until you mentioned it, and I can't stop thinking about it now, and that's kind of upsetting to me.
Pussy with tattoos. It's got words in there.
So, Tom Hayden... He... In the movie is portrayed as, yes, he's a leftist, but it seems like he has his own reasons for doing it. He's more moderate and respectful of authority. Mm-hmm. I want to point out, Tom Hayden in reality was not at all like that.
I don't want you to... Noah, we're not talking about Tom fucking Hayden right now. We're talking about Noah Cross. Tell me about you and... Like,
well, in that case, I'll say...
and then say...
I am a mix of Tom Hayden and Abby Hoffman. Because I do believe... right now in America, that you need to take the Tom Hayden strategy of working within the U.S. government to enact radical change,
and just,
a la Bernie Sanders.
I'm not going to go on a tangent here, but just exactly what you're saying, and just a small point, in the end, like, little words about what happened after, to my recollection, Tom Hayden's the only one that continues to have a serious career in politics on the big stage.
He was a member of the state of California's House of Representatives, and then the state of California Senate for about 20-ish years. But I will say...
How else do you relate to him?
How else do I relate to him?
Okay. Like, what, not that you relate to them, like specifically about you, your upbringing, your life.
I mean,
the way you see things.
Similar to Tom Hayden, and I can't say this because I haven't done full biographical info, but I can assume... He came from a relatively privileged background. He does seem to be a preppy individual, and he's a very policy-focused individual. He wrote the Port Huron Statement, if you've read that. Very great radical leftist statement. Beautiful.
We're in the closet, bitches.
Oh, and I just about nutted in it. So yeah, I do say I relate to Tom Hayden, and I think, and this is going to get me into the whole criticizing this movie before we've even really talked about it, which makes me upset.
Open it up.
No,
roast me
you
for...
know what?
Guess what? I'm the lawyer. Guess what? I'm trying to put them in jail, motherfuckers. Guess what?
All right.
I believe in the system. I'm an Eagle Scout.
Before I get into direct criticisms of any Aaron Sorkin stuff...
And sometimes I go to Bohemian Grove and get fucked in the ass. Guess what? I'm Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
We're going to talk about the actual movie a little bit. Oh, wow. My air conditioning just came on. That's great.
Is there a way to turn it off?
No. No, there is not. We're just going to have to roll with it. We chose the closet.
Are you sure? I can definitely just go to your thing and say off.
Go for it. I'll talk about the movie alone. So, big thing with the movie during the trial, and I'm going to have to ask Blake about this when he gets back, is, and I think the most important, is the treatment of Bobby Seale, the head of the Black Panthers Party, the only minority member of the group.
Hopefully this turns off in a second.
We'll see. And Blake, you remember in the movie, what happens to Bobby Seale?
In the movie, Bobby Seale is gagged for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And beaten. I think that's not... okay, I mean, obviously gagged. One could make a bigger argument.
In reality, he was definitely beaten, too.
Well, but he's also beaten in the movie. I'm just saying, one could say being gagged in our legal system is worse because then he can't even defend himself. That decides his whole life. But even then, let's talk about the fact he was audibly beaten and the whole crowd listened to it and then is brought back out. And I know that just happens for a few minutes in the movie, but from what you told me, that happens for days in real life. That's in history. That's what happened.
I'll go into a little detail. Oh, it turned off. That's great.
Like, fuck.
So, in the movie even, his lawyer is getting gallbladder surgery. He's not represented by, what's his name? Kunstler, like the rest of them. He has his own lawyer. He's getting gallbladder surgery, so he can't be there.
Is that like real?
That is real. That is completely real. Judge Hoffman tells him that, fine, your lawyer's not here, you're still part of the case. He asks to represent himself. Judge Hoffman says no. I want to point out this is a complete constitutional violation of the right to due process and the right to attorney. Beyond that, in reality and in the movie, after he has objected multiple times and at one point has said that he does not give a fuck about what the judge thinks, he is brought to a back room, most likely beaten in reality, in the movie visually beaten, gagged, and then chained to his chair. And by gagged, I don't mean something was stuffed in his mouth.
Like a fucking murderer. Like a mass murderer. Dude, he literally just... Like, at the end of the day, no matter what he did, he spoke his opinion.
And more than anyone I have ever seen, like, even in a movie depiction of it, it wasn't Hannibal Lecter with his, oh, you can't bite their faces mask. It was, there was a sock shoved in his mouth.
To where you choke on it.
There was a giant hunk of tape covering his entire face where it was like concerning whether he could breathe.
Very.
Yeah. In the movie, that only lasts 5 minutes before Richard Schultz, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, calls for a mistrial of him because he looks incredibly sympathetic, obviously.
So, tell me about Schultz.
Well, I'll tell you right now. In reality, it took 3 straight days of trial with him chained and gagged to a chair before he was separated from the case. And that's when it became the Chicago 7, because it was originally the Chicago 8.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was dropped. That's why it's the Chicago 7.
I mean...
Because we have the 5 people we care about and those 2 other fuckers.
I mean, do you think that's kind of like bad that they didn't name it the 8? Or do you understand?
It was...
I think they... I mean, I get why they did it, but I almost wish they had named it the Chicago 8.
It should have been, but...
For the movie.
For the movie, even though it was the Chicago 7, you're really only focusing on even 6 characters now, because you're not focusing on the other 2. But the reason the media at the time didn't was because the trial did go on for about a half year after that.
Yeah.
Richard Schultz. So he was a Nixon appointed lawyer and brought in by him. And this was a political trial brought on by the Nixon Attorney General. He, unlike in the movie, didn't harbor any issues of being like, oh, is this right? I don't think we should prosecute this. This is wrong.
He was doing
in
what he was told, which is kind of bad of you. You're not a robot.
No, it wasn't. He wasn't even doing what he was told. In reality, similar to most of the members of the Nixon administration, he was openly racist and openly wanted to suppress free speech. He was a piece of fucking shit.
Alright. I retake my statements. I don't relate to him at all.
Yeah.
But the way he's portrayed in the movie.
He's portrayed...
Maybe it's just because it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and we're both gorgeous on the Pussy Venn diagram.
It's how Aaron Sorkin does things. That we'll get to that.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
Honestly, like, I'm even okay with this going a little longer. What?
Oh, do you not have my...
No.
Never mind.
I'm even okay with this going a little longer than normal. And I'm sorry, but this is, like, excuse me. I get that we talk about the movies, but it's also, like, we think about things a lot deeper than the movies. And the cool thing about movies, especially this kind of movie, is it's like, guess what? If you really want the movie, go fucking read a book or something. Go to a history class and learn it. Because this is real shit that actually happened, and that's kind of better. Wait. But this, like...
After watching the movie, I am buying the book about the actual trial of the Chicago 7.
Very fair. Very fair. And that's what I'm saying. If you want the real raw shit, get that. But at the end of the day, we're talking about what the movie made us think and feel. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of something that I thought... the reason I keep bringing up even those three different... What are the groups? You know what I mean? One of us... And it's not even one or the other. I'm just even saying, like, because I'm pretty... Like, the reason I'm giving that disclaimer is because I don't want to say... I'm not saying... Black Panthers and Bobby Seale is violence, because Bobby Seale is not violent at all. He is all for speech. He is the most innocent person in this trial.
100%.
He's the most innocent person in this trial by far and away, and he's treated the worst. Anyways, so you kind of have whatever Hoffman and Rubin, and they're kind of doing almost a comedy. They're doing a like ground roots approach to change, and they're saying the wildest shit ever. And wait, no, let me just finish this.
No, I was gonna add on it, because one of the things they point out, Hoffman's character says in the movie, or Sacha Baron Cohen's character Hoffman says in the movie, is that they have no money. They're doing these wild antics to bring the TV cameras.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so that's I mean, just so let me finish my point, because that would have been a good answer. Anyways,
no, that's exactly what I was.
I know, but no. This I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying it's like, so you have this side that almost uses this comedic raw approach where they are saying things that they're kind of like their real viewers know, because in the movie he's like, yes, there will be open sex and everything. Okay, like the real people that are in there aren't really like, we're going there. I mean, that did happen, but it's like, I know that. No, I know that happened, but I'm just, I know that happened a lot.
He has no idea what I'm gonna say next.
Okay, but I'm just saying. So you have that side, you have your side, the SDS, which is no, I'm just kidding, but it's just like, then you have like remember I said he's the only guy that continues to have a career, Tom Hayden, in politics, which is technically the most impactful long term. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, and then the reason, and then so I'm just like, no one really in this movie represents us, but there's even violence and riots, which is what we've seen recently and everything, and like you've seen a real big push to, it's like maybe it's actually almost okay for some people to riot in some sense. So it's kind of like, what do you think is the most effective / constructed? Like there's a couple, you know, I mean, like if you put them into different, because they don't all have to be the same best one, you know, I'm not asking for the best. Like which are the best for which reasons. And if you have other ways of that, you can tell. But you know what I'm saying. Like, those are a good few. Like, there's the hardcore legal way, there's the grassroots social way, and there's the fucking get in your face way. Okay. And there's probably another way that I'm fucking too ignorant to understand.
So, I'll say, this is kind of a hard question to answer. The way I most agree with, and I'll be completely honest with this, is at this point, especially when it comes to what's going on today with the criminal justice system and racism in America, is the get in your face violence way, because that has been ignored, and the plight of black people in America has been,
you're right. I totally agree.
It's
just like, it's almost crazy because it's like, yeah, it's like, whoa, but yeah.
Because this was, I won't lie, it was actually a Twitter thread. Like, I thought this, but a Twitter thread word for word explained it out for me the entire time. And it's that a black man or a black woman can be shot and killed by the cops for no reason. And they won't be arrested because in our nation, the police have a special law protecting them, saying that basically no matter what, it's manslaughter. And from there, they most likely won't be prosecuted. And then it's just enraging. The police.
You kind of mixed up your words. You said black people won't be prosecuted originally? Yeah.
The police can shoot black people, and then the police will not be prosecuted. To clarify that. And in civil court,
word mix-up, you motherfuckers. Get out of here, New York Times. We're sick of it.
And in civil court, they will not be
breaking more things.
Yeah, they will not
I'm getting
be.
In your face.
They aren't able to be sued. So yeah, I think the direct riots and everything is a completely appropriate response because it's drawing the attention of the public to this fucking ridiculous system we have going on.
Like, I feel I'm not gonna go long on this, but it's just like, especially when we go through our education system as white kids in like grade school, middle school, it's like, oh, like, we already did all the change with MLK, and it's like, I feel like this, like, right now, in these past couple years, starting with in our hometown, Ferguson, St. Louis, not our hometown, but St. Louis and everything, and, like, the Michael Brown shit, I feel like that really did kick it big time off. That started Black Lives Matter, which is what's happening right now. That's the biggest thing right now. That's everyone's Black Lives Matter. So it's like, oh my God, I just totally kind of sort of lost my train of thought. But it's crazy because it's like, we thought it was almost kind of, it's like, oh, they got the right to vote and everything. And it's like, no, the real things, the things that like, that's all a facade. They gave us things to make us think it was okay, but really, it goes so much deeper than we actually were explained to or understood. And so it's like, we're finally starting to get to the point that it's like, oh, I'm actually understanding, like, this goes, like, it's like, oh, it's not just like, you're black and now you can vote. It's like, oh, you're black and socioeconomically, like, it's gonna, you have a higher, like, you're a black male, higher chance, one, you probably, because of, like, all these other factors, you've probably had a harder childhood, and statistically, you, like, 1/3 of you, so let's just say you, because, like, I've even been arrested, so if 1/3 of black people have been arrested, that is terrifying to me. So it's just like, 1/3 of people get arrested. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's just, let me just finish this thought, though, kind of.
Go quick.
It's crazy how, like, pretty much, like, because of these built-in socioeconomic things that were never even explained to us that we could fix with an amendment, we thought, oh, we just make this amendment to vote and do these things and that's going to fix it. It's like, no, maybe our exact system doesn't actually work perfectly, and we actually need to, like, fix some things to actually represent people that are systematically unrepresented, no matter how much we make it look like they are.
And that actually perfectly brings me to my next point of why voting does not matter. Especially if you are systemically oppressed.
I just got a boner.
Because, yeah, we let black people vote after, 1865, 1866, whatever, whenever the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed. Wonderful. Did it get better for them? Fuck no. our fucking government just created a whole new form of Jim Crow, indentured servitude, tenant farming,
harder
slavery.
to recognize.
And then that got recognized with Brown v. Board, we created a fucking judicial and criminal justice and imprisonment system that does the same exact thing, where you have to pay 1/3 of black men will be arrested, right? Yeah. And they're arrested at much higher rates than white people.
That's what I'm saying. Like, we all commit crimes the same rate. We all, like, there's more white people, so it should be more are arrested, but it's just like we all commit crimes at the same rate. I mean, the poorest people commit crimes more. That's a thing. But it's just like we all commit crimes at the same rate, no matter your ethnicity or race or fucking religion or gender. It's all about like what you fucking need and like the way you.
It is mostly males.
Okay, you're right, but you know what I'm saying. It's just.
But then when you're in prison, you're doing prison labor, right? So the stereotype thing from, I don't know what fucking show I saw years ago when I was like 14 years old.
The Wire.
It's them printing, license plates.
The Wire's a great show, but guess what?
It
promotes systematic racism.
And
the Wire does cops a little bit.
The Wire actually does better on it.
I've never even watched The Wire. I've only watched the fucking very first episode, the pilot, and I'm just talking about my ass because it's old, so I just assume.
No,
guess what? I bet our kids will be like, he's so right. The Wire is so fucked up. Noah's a racist for thinking The Wire is okay.
My point that I was bringing up is, in prison, I don't remember the exact wage, but it's basically you can get paid, I want to say 35 cents per hour.
That is a crime.
It's legitimately slave labor once again focused on the black American. And now we're going to transition back to a little bit of the movie.
Yeah, let's this can be our last. I totally want to, if it goes for 20 minutes of this topic, I'm okay with it, but let's get our last few little main things out.
Well, let's hope neither of us go too long with this. Judge Hoffman, and this is a question I have to ask. When you just, before I've even told you about it, before you read anything about it.
I'm ignorant. I don't know shit.
When you watched it the first time, did you believe Judge Hoffman's blatant, bias was realistic? At all? Like, how far it went?
Okay, so, I have a couple things to almost say about that. Because there's parts of the movie that I genuinely were like, okay, like, what's Sacha Baron Cohen's character?
Abby Hoffman.
I was like, I bet you're funny. I bet you're good. You ain't almost all the way. I'm just saying, like, there's things that are played up cinematically and characterly.
But no, I'm talking about just Judge Hoffman.
I know. I'm answering your question. Okay. I'm saying, so there's characters and people in the movie, and there's moments that I was watching, and I was like, okay, this is a movie. Like, I know I'm getting my history lesson on things I've never learned, but try to take this with a little bit of grain of salt for dramatic purposes, and I still love the movie. But specifically, I think it's also just because, like, I'm friends with you, I'm friends with people that are open-minded, and I watch specifically Alex Jones. But
open-minded.
I mean, one could say he's the most open-minded, but one could say, and not actually. But anyways, I'm just saying, I totally see what you're saying as far as that, but genuinely, because of what I've seen in America and the way I understand, like, because I understand there's systematic racism and all that shit. So it's like, well, where does that come from? The people that write the system, and so it's like the judge acting. I totally was like, because like the reason I believe the judge was as awful as he was is because the person, like, Bob, what's his name?
Who? Yeah,
Bobby Seale. Like, when he was gagged and bound, I never have heard this, but I knew that was real. I knew that really happened. I knew they wouldn't just do that. You know what I mean? So I knew that was real, and I also knew that wouldn't just happen if a judge wasn't that. You know what I mean? So it was like, because everything was so crazy and so drawn out, even if he was dramatized a little bit in the way he spoke, bro, that judge had to be the biggest fucking cunt douche on the fucking planet. I haven't even hit it one time. I'm sorry. He's just, dude. He can go to fucking hell. I mean, he's already there. But well, hell's not even real. He's in
He's dead.
He's in the worst place to be buried. In the bottom of a Disneyland lake, eaten by an alligator. That's where the fuck he is.
So
imagine dying there.
I hate that I asked that question literally just to prompt myself and talk about him.
I love it.
Great.
That's called a podcast.
Perfect. Because I had two main things to talk about with Judge Hoffman.
Judge Hoffman.
One. So besides the Bobby Seale section, which was basically true and not played out enough, the entire part of him being old and not remembering names was actually real. In the court transcripts, there is one part when I believe he is talking about Dellinger, that he literally says, Derringer, whatever your name is. He had no idea who the fuck he was even ruling against as a biased fucking judge. And then...
Because it kind of didn't matter to him, I would just say. I mean, I know he's also old and decrepit, but like...
Yeah, it didn't. He didn't give a fuck.
He was like, I'm going to put these fuckers in jail and I'm going to show that the system works.
Exactly. And... Actually, I guess I have 3 points now. Because my second point is when it came to the objections and him overruling every single fucking objection the defense made, there were times in the actual court transcripts where before the defense made an actual objection, he would just say overruled. He did not care. He had complete bias.
Wait,
and he publicly...
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
You told me how many counts of like...
Oh, that's my next point.
But how many counts were there?
So...
Just tell me real quick, because you can answer my question.
174.
There's 170 counts of contempt of court or whatever,
Yes,
which is just being a kind of a little shithead. One count is like enough to make your jail sentence a year longer type shit. I don't really know. I don't really know, but I'm just saying
6 months to
I'm just
4
saying,
years.
The way you just said that, do you think there were like it sounds like he's so out of it that he was so bent on his idea that he was like no one would even say anything and he would say like pass on objection. It's like no one even objected. Did he ever, do you think in one of those 170, because that's a lot, do you ever think he pretty much was just like, contempt of court, and it was literally like, what the fuck? Nothing even happened. No one even said anything. You know what I'm saying, though?
I will say there was one noticeable or noted moment where Abby Hoffman laughed in the court, just at something he said, any ruling, because Abby Hoffman had been very confrontational to the judge, whatever. He just laughed, didn't say anything. And the judge gave him contempt of court for 4 years in prison. And when it came to the defense's lawyer,
Get it out.
Kunstler.
Kunstler.
No, Kunstler's really good.
I love Kunstler. I'm kidding.
Perfect. He had long hair. The judge openly on the first day of trial expressed his distaste for that.
Are you kidding? This is like working at Silgi's.
This lawyer
That's where we
in
worked.
court
In high school.
received enough of contempt of court charges.
For long hair.
Long hair was the first expression of distaste. Most of the contempt of court was because he pointed out to the judge that it was a political fucking sham.
So he was doing his job.
Yes.
And he got contempt. That's
Yeah.
why it was all overturned, because he was
got-
doing his job.
He got, if it had been upheld, which it wasn't,
Wentzler,
he would have got
Kunstler.
Yeah, he would have gotten 8 years in prison.
Oh my fuck.
174 contempt of court charges.
Fuck, oh my god.
Is
it's oh my fuck.
unprecedented
God ain't real.
and insane.
I mean, long hair. Oh my god, dude.
I know. This was the most ridiculous trial ever, and as good as the movie portrays it, where you're like, holy fuck, there's no way any of this is real, the movie, I don't think, goes far enough for it. Also, fun fact, you remember when Abby Hoffman showed up and Ruben showed up in the judge's robes to court?
Yes.
That happened in real life.
Did any of the other costumes happen and shit?
The cop costume beneath the robes was not true.
Okay.
but they showed up in judges' robes.
And
they were told to shut it. Do you want to know what happened when they did that?
Contempt of court.
Contempt of fucking court.
I honestly want to talk about this more, so I would love if you brought more, like, another idea, if you have any other shit you want to say, but I don't really...
I have two, and
just
I'm kind of going to rely on you to not actually remember that much about the movie and go on to side tangents, so that'll be great. Abby Hoffman, when he went up on the...
Right now.
Yeah, when Abby Hoffman went up on the stand, you remember that big little speech?
Fill me in. Give me the big points.
So Hayden was supposed to go up on the stand, and then they said he incited the riot. Hoffman goes up on the stand and basically expresses a lot of the distaste he has for the American governmental system and how it's institutionally opposed to them, not, just them as leftists. But he expresses in the moment in the film that, he would be open to the idea of democracy and he supports democracy and all that.
But we're not doing that. Genuine.
Yeah, we're not. And I want to point out, and this is one of my biggest issues with the film, Abby Hoffman was a fucking anarchist and hated democracy. He did not want a government at all.
Interesting. So did he actually say that shit about I'm open to democracy?
No.
Okay.
His testimony, I haven't read the full transcripts of his testimony, but from what I've read articles about it, he was a lot more critical of the entire American institutional democratic system and government in general, while also, again, trying to keep it focused on the Vietnam War.
I mean,
which is something we have kind of glossed over, sadly.
It's interesting how it's like, I feel like a lot of us these days, because of social media, we feel like, and everything, we feel like you got, like, the way to be the biggest is be the most one side, but it's like, some of the people that have made the biggest change realized that, like, at times you need to bite your fucking tongue. And that's, like, something that I don't do. Like, I don't know how to do that. Yeah. But it's just, like, that's a real important thing that in order to change... And, like, you're not even politics, relationships, everything. Everything is about, like, oh, sometimes you gotta bite your tongue. And the fact that they were able to, like, do that at these times with still getting their point...
They really weren't.
Well, I mean...
Hoffman didn't.
I know. They didn't. But they said the truth. And that's what I'm saying, you know? I'm going to be honest, I don't have any, like, tangents on that, but that's just interesting.
Yeah. My other main point I wanted to bring up was my criticism of Aaron Sorkin as a director and writer. I'm sorry, Aaron Sorkin, I love you as a movie writer, and I'm a big fan of The West Wing.
Molly's Game is pretty good.
The Newsroom, Trial of the Chicago 7. He has a habit of he likes to point... He has
A Few Good Men, the movie everyone else knows.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you haven't seen The West Wing and you claim to be an Aaron Sorkin fan, you're a piece of shit.
Yikes.
I know you haven't seen it, but Aaron's...
I kind of feel bad right now.
Dude, it's one
Flush me down the toilet
It's
already.
one of the best TV shows ever. Aaron Sorkin has a habit and kind of an impulse to paint everything as a good and evil, and he paints the good as liberal, moderate Democrats every time, and they're the most rational, they're the wittiest, they're the quickest in the room, no matter what.
I don't know if that's the case this movie.
I think in this movie they are.
I mean,
because it's obviously leftist, but he moderates Hoffman even.
You're right,
and he clearly
to a point.
He clearly paints... I mean,
they do some crazy shit.
Yeah.
They bring Judge Wardrose and then add the cop. That was crazy.
But they're not over here trying to saying the real message of get rid of the government. We want an alternative lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because that was also part of their reason for protesting in Chicago. They weren't trying to... They were protesting the Vietnam War, but they wanted permits in Lincoln Park to show what an alternative non-governmental lifestyle could look like. where, yeah, there's free fornication. But it's okay. It's consensual, so it doesn't fucking matter.
And with that, we introduce to you the best hat-focused so far.
The worst half-focused so far. Quentin Tarantino, if you still want to come on, you're welcome to.
And, dude, we have bad housing, but we have housing. We have bad food, but we have food. And we have okay narcotics. I don't know what you do. I'm just saying, Quentin, dude, make the trip. We'll make you home. If you need the plane ticket bought, we will pay for it.
Quentin, I already know.
We're starting a GoFundMe.
I already know you've gotten sauced while directing 2 of your films.
Yes.
So just come on. Just come on, man.
Just come on, man. Guys, I love you. Goodbye.